Do I spy? Remarkable. A living, breathing something, it seems. You dare to approach me here, mortal? Don't you know who I am? Don't you know what I do? The sister of the king, of course. The phantom of the woods, of course. The mother of all corpses, of course. The ruler of the dead. It is self-evident. I am Cassandra, queen of the Phantom Forest. And you have come where you are not welcome. The only king, Brachus Rex. He rules all of Rivellon, and I, his double, rule too. For a time, at least. We were forged together by our very souls, and all that was his was mine, and all that was mine his. But it's no wonder you haven't heard of me. He's gouged me from history, one statue, one tablet, one scroll at a time. But make no mistake, I live. Strange, isn't it? How a love greater than the gods themselves can tear you from time. But time matters little to me anymore. No, it floats past me unfelt as light upon a blind eye. To hide his weakness, to conceal his greatest misdeed. My brother was a kind ruler before he became a rabid tyrant, but his descent into madness was swift. Power he gained, and with it a terrible fear of death that hounded him ceaselessly night and day. He stationed 100 guards outside his bedchamber and mine, but still he kept awake all night, expecting assassins. He soon determined that he must diminish his risk. I, his sister, forged to his soul, was his greatest liability. My death would spell his, and so he sought to break the bond between us. My brother is a clever sort. Once he sets his mind to a task, it's good as done. Brachus discovered that while we lived, the forge could not be broken. But this did not deter him. No, for Brachus there are only temporary difficulties. And so he turned me into an immortal creature. Living, yes, but wedded to death. A lich, destined to roam, ever half alive among the world of the living. We were lost to one another. We who had walked hand in hand through all of life. We who shared each thought, each trial with perfect understanding between us. I was cast out and aside. And Brachus, empowered by his new freedom, went on to rule. But I've never forgotten his betrayal. No, I've spent centuries searching, seeking, until the perfect solution appeared before me. How better to have guaranteed my brother hated his own cold, cruel heart than to make him feel my torment. I discovered how to restore our soul forge, and I determined to bind our souls once more. The torment of the never-arriving grave would have haunted him as it haunts me. The pain his betrayal caused me would have been his to savor. But in the end, my brother found a worse fate than any I could have devised. Source King that he was, Brachus was stricken down not once, but twice. First deposed, then resurrected, then defeated once more. I can think of no finer torture for that proud madman than to come to the cusp of glory, only to be cast back down for all time. Is that so? You, a frail mortal, laid low the eternal crown of Brachus Rex, How sinfully inglorious. Yes, how humiliating for the so-called Lord of Chaos to find himself run through by a slave to age and order. I do believe thanks are in order. To show my gratitude, I will allow you to roam my woods at your own discretion. This is no mean feat that I swear to tolerate the stench of your living flesh, mortal. Take it as a tremendous honor. Is that so? And how might I weigh the debt of a mortal? Could you do more for me than, say, a boar, a wolf? Does your kind not serve me best when the lovely blush of rot swells along your delicate hide? Still, I do suppose we could come to an agreement. Ahu, the one I love, is reluctant to admit that he loves me too. He clings to the past like a fading old man. So I desire to drive him from denial into acceptance. He is a stubborn one, though, that pussycat. And he has mastered the magic I once filled him with better than I had foreseen. That is why I need an ingredient even he cannot resist. An ingredient called stasis fern. There is a spirit in this forest called Sierra, who is known to possess like rarities. Alas, she seems to have quite vanished. It's simple, really. Find her, obtain the stasis fern, and the spell you desire shall be yours. It is an anomaly. A plant that is said to have grown in another realm altogether than Rivalon. The first garden, a place of myth and miracle. There, so the spirits of this forest told me, it bloomed and delighted with its fragrance no more. Yet taken from the first garden and brought here, it took on source-like particularities. Its magic is one of permanence. A magic as eternal as the world from whence it came, and with it, what I want will be mine. Ahu, my lover forever. Obviously, but that would be a disaster now, wouldn't it? A disaster of such proportions that I'd have to vent my rage on your innards. There is nothing left to discuss, oh frail little thing. Bring me the stasis fern so that I can show this cat one cannot defy Cassandra.
Source Hunter, how glad I am to see you. Tread carefully. Weigh your every word. Cassandra has become more devious than I ever dared dream. You hit the nail on the head, Hunter. That is exactly what Cassandra wants to do. Kill the part of me that is cat, and claim for herself that which is human. No! I cannot bear it. I cannot. I am a cat, and always was. I remember my many siblings. My mother giving us suckle, licking me clean with a gentle purr. Yes, I remember the freedom of a pre-conscious existence. That is who I am, not a man. For what is it that humanity has given me? Nothing but suffering. Nothing but hurt and heartbreak. So stop her, Hunter. For the love of the Seven, stop Cassandra. To be human for all time is a fate worse to me than death. All too well. Even in my human guise, I'd have gone quite as white as I am now at the mere mention of that otherworldly wonder. Stasis Fern. In Cassandra's hands, an instrument of ultimate torture. Ambrosia in my own. She'd use it to consolidate my human form everlastingly. You cannot let her have it at any cost. But should you find it, Hunter, please bring it to me instead. With Stasis Fern, that ultimate catnip, I can become the being I most desire to be. a cat once more and forever. Careful, friend, for it'll be your death, not hers. She boasts that the magic she weaves makes her immortal, and I don't doubt the might of her sorcery. Nevertheless, where there is source hunters follow. Perhaps there may be a weakness in her fortifications still. This forest teems with wretched souls. They may know things we know not.
My friends, we come to it at last. All of the missing threads have been rewoven, and the canvas is clear for the first time in eons. The final mystery may at least reveal itself. The final thread of your memory may be restored. Let us watch.
The Guardians had failed. Source was tainted, the void was loosed, and all that stood between Rivellon and annihilation was Astarte herself. Overcome by guilt, they hoped to undo their failure by undoing reality itself. And so, they ripped their threads from the tapestry of time, so becoming unknown to history and unknowing of themselves for all eternity. As their threads fell to Rivellon like shooting stars, they hardened into crystals the people called Starstones.
So the souls within us intentionally tore themselves from the tapestry of time.
Perhaps it was the only honorable thing to do after the tragic opening of the God Box by Astarte.
Duty is honor, and honor is duty. I can understand their not being able to live with having failed to protect the God Box.
Guardians, I ask of you, what are you doing? What good can come of your misguided actions? I have tried to warn you. I have tried to be your friend by pointing toward the one great truth that is the Void Dragon, and say, relent. For you have failed before, and you shall fail again. Why is it so difficult for you to accept that which is inevitable? All things must pass away, even time itself. Sit ye down, rest, be weary no longer. Acquiesce in the embrace of oblivion, in which there is nothing but the equality and the harmony of non-existence. A blessing awaits beyond the end of time. Accept it, for it is yours to receive.
Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Oh my! Hello, forgive me, but you startled me. I guess my head was up in the clouds. Oh, me? Sorry. I was just thinking about what it would be like if humans ate with their noses instead of their mouths. Anyway, what were you asking? Oh, yes. I saw how breezy and blowy you'd made this place. I thought it'd be the perfect place to clear my head. But not to worry. I'll earn my keep. My stock of air spells will blow your socks off. Yes. Snort that spaghetti. Oh, pardon. Yes. So, you'd like to learn to gust with the best of them, would you? Have a look.
Good to see you on the shelter plane. A home away from home, is it not? It shall be my pleasure. I can but conclude the Guardians must have felt an overwhelming amount of guilt for their perceived failings. Why else would they scatter their very souls to the wind? We may not have a clear picture as yet of their true involvement in the fall of Astarte, but what we can finally put beyond doubt is how pieces of their very souls, your very souls, are being turned into bloodstone and used by the Immaculates to commit atrocities. They are your enemies, and therefore are they enemies of time. The worst kind of people, those.
The boar tries to grunt and squeal, but not a note high or low does it produce. Its entire body bespeaks an exasperated frustration at being unable to do so. The boar energetically points towards the downward sloping path. Whoever robbed him of his voice might be close by indeed.
Walgraf almost pushes you in the direction the boar motioned towards. He knows he's close to a voice snatcher, and he intends to confront him as soon as possible. Walgraf's lips bend into a cruel smile as he readies his weapon. Whoever is down there has a mortal enemy heading right for him.
You approach a man dressed in all too familiar immaculate robes. With a strange voice marked by occasional growls that a boar might make, he is about to cast a spell on a terrified bunny, which he is gripping tightly in his worn and claw-like hands. Your approach startles him, however, causing him to relax his hold. Feeling the pressing fingers slipping from its little body, the bunny manages to break free and quickly disappears into the nearby rabbit hole. The Immaculate eyes you hatefully and yells.
Curse you! I've got a few words left in this barren throat of mine, and it took me the damnedest time to get my paws on that long-eared good-for-naught. Elaborate on what? That I have no voice unless I take one, eh? That I am mute unless I make other voices mine? Mine for an infuriatingly short time? And what do you care about a dumb deer, you cretin? What do you care about a...
The Immaculate seems to be rapidly losing his ability to speak, managing only to growl like a boar in heat. Then he coughs violently and falls completely silent as he mouths torrents of unspoken expletives. His intention is rather hard to misread, though. He'll tear you limb from limb unless you do him that courtesy first.
This is it, Hunter. I can smell it. I can feel it. The disease that is the demon. Balberith awaits us down below. So ready yourself. Encase your soul in armor thicker than tenebrium. You'll need all your wits about you if you're to face this horror from the hells.
Oh, it cannot possibly be Jehan? And so close to your expiration date. I thought for certain I'd have to chase you down in that great palace of yours and pull you out by your ponytail. How very precious of you to save me the trouble.
I have wandered worlds for nearly 1,000 years in search of you, demon. And finally I have found you. 10 centuries have I spent honoring and hating the remembrance of Hiraka. Have I turned my hatred into the fuel that lit the fires of purpose. To track you down, undo my bond by wrenching the life from your mangled frame, and thereby freeing my hell-promised soul.
You're gonna have to dumb it down for me, Your Highness. I deal in souls, not poetry.
Silence! I have made you the object of an age-long obsession, villain. I know more about your kind than all the scholars of the universe combined. I know why you remain so elusive once a deal has been made. For to kill you is to break the pact and leave me with your gift of life forever.
Yes, demon. True immortality shall be mine. Forget the cheap ploys of necromancy. Forget the dogmas of demonology. I have discovered how to best you at your own game. I need but do the impossible to kill my ensnarer, And your spell will remain upon me forever, like a spook that haunts my soul with welcome abandon. So, yes, I know your tricks. I am immortal, beyond the decay of time. This 1,000-year limit is but artifice and of your making. Now I shall end you. End you before you can erase your machinations. One immortal shall taste of death, and another shall never know its torpid flavor.
You're even smarter than I gave you credit for, O Fallen King. But before we do battle, let me have a word with your allies first. Isn't she exquisite? I've spent some time groping around in that great rocky head of hers, but her deepest fear still eludes me. No matter for now. These darling forest creatures are dear as fawns with their sweet little worries. Once I've sucked each one of them dry, I'll put all 10 fingers into Mrs. Spirit of the Forest here. Come on, sugar, just a little hint. Mayhem? Shame? Clowns? Maybe she's just fussing since I got my hands on that little old runestone of hers. Is that it? Oh, that? Quite the hot object these days, isn't it? The woman in red just offered me quite the reward if I'd use it to open the Source Temple for her. You wouldn't happen to be after a similar sort of deal, would you? By the looks of you, I'm quite certain an arrangement could be reached. I've always been one for a deal, after all, and it just so happens there's something I'm quite sure you could do for me. Jehan, you seem to have grown quite chummy with the, what is it again? Source Hunter? How very fascinating. But what's that? Unless my senses deceive me, there's the faintest fear in you, Jehan. Fear that some harm should come to your little friends. Perhaps you can help keep us all quite safe by facilitating a little deal.
Careful, hunters. This worm has never offered a straight deal in all his 1,000 putrid lives. You do well to close your ears to whatever filth will soon pour from his mouth.
It seems, Jehan, that your friends have the strength of mind to stand against you regularly. No easy feat for most faced with an intellect like yours, old friend. I do believe beings of such fortitude might be able to help me indeed. Just the sort of party whose help I'd be so happy to have. For you see, I've a certain pebble in my shoe that I simply can't shake out all by my lonesome. Ralzan Axaroth, one of my most ancient enemies, has been summoned alongside the very forest I've claimed. The woman in red intends him to guard the entrance to the Source Temple. But if I know the bloodthirsty beast, he's already set his eyes upon the creatures of this forest.
Hunters, you must listen to me carefully. For now more than ever before, my words may determine the course of all our fates. This demon's deal may seem simple, but beneath the lure bobs a deadly hook, no doubt eager to catch you by the mouth. Deal not with Balberith, hunter. Do not repeat my mistake.
I'll not risk our lives by dealing in demonry.
We'll find our way into the Source Temple without affiliating with his kind. No deal.
More's the pity, but I'd hardly compel a soul to enter a deal unwillingly. As for those who've already signed a pact, though, well, a deal's a deal, isn't it? Perhaps I ought to ask you, Jehan. A deal's a deal, isn't it? And your 1,000 years are quite over, my friend. Your soul is mine.
Ha! We'd never hand over our trusted companion to the likes of him.
On guard, demon. You've made your last deal.
Hunter, I see I chose well when I recognized the potential within you. Great have you become, more powerful and more noble than even I could have guessed. Now we throw our might towards a single cause, and together we shall destroy one more hand of evil within our world. The moment has come. Come, demon, let us begin. And you too, hunter. Stand by me as I face my ultimate ordeal. It is done. The manacles of a tormented millennium have fallen from my soul, and finally it is mine again. My life, my liberty, and not for a handful of years borrowed from fickle gods. No, it is mine perpetually. I know I might well have failed if it hadn't been for you. I thank you, and with what powers I have, I bless you. Together we will venture forth to undo the void, so that my life's newfound longevity will not be meaningless. So that one day, in perhaps another 1,000 years, I will look upon the face of Hiraka once more and make my heart a stone. The tombstone neath which the witch will be buried. After that I shall finally know peace. After that I may sit and rest and settle. Perhaps even love anew. Ha! What fancies, what dreams, what castles in skies too stormy as yet to seat them. With a wave of the hand, let me discard them. We have so much to do and many to fight. And so, my friend, let us not tarry. Onward, for victory begs us to seize her.
Can it be? The Guardians? My word, how changed you are. And yet, still how gloriously the divine light shines upon you. You've slain the demon. Balbareth's reign of anguish is over. The Guardians have returned, and oh, how their glory shines. I am one of the ancients of our realm, a spirit of the forest and keeper of arcane knowledge. Since the great change of source, it has been my mission to care for the creatures tainted by the darkness of source, to heal them as best I could, and to ease their suffering when healing was impossible. When the Lich Queen Cassandra overtook these woods, I regarded her with pity. Long have I searched for a way to reverse her terrible condition, hoping not only to heal her, but to release her grip upon this forest. With Balbareth dead, I can return to my work of healing. It pains me terribly to think upon the damage the Fiend has already caused. The Fiend seeks to defile all that is good, all that is joyful and natural. I was an obvious target. But worse than this, imprisonment is what the beast has taken from me. An ancient rune more valuable than any relic in all of Rivellon. Only myself and the Keeper of the Source were possessed of these ancient runes, and we swore to protect them. The rune grants access to the Source Temple at the heart of this forest, and within that temple lie the most ancient secrets of the Divine. Balbareth used the rune to grant an intruder access to the temple, and now I fear all is lost. Getting through the temple is nigh impossible. The trial of ascension allows only the most devout sorcerers into its deepest chamber, where the portal to the first garden lies. But I can share with you a secret, a way to circumvent the trial. When you enter the temple, stay close to your right. Eventually, you'll run into a weak wall. A well-placed strike will cause it to crumble, and you'll find yourself within the High Templar's office. There, you'll find a teleportation mirror, which will deliver you to the portal to the first garden. I'm certain the intruders at the Source Temple intend to find that portal. You must stop them before they do. The first garden is the realm of the Divines, and who knows what terrible havoc they intend to wreak within that holy realm. Why, Guardians, that garden is yours. It is where you kept your vigil over the God Box until the void escaped and you disappeared from time. Astarte dwells there still, along with the dreaded Void Dragon. They will battle into eternity unless someone tips the scales. As Balberith's presence tainted my mind, I began to lose hope. But now it's clear. The Guardians have returned, and you will deliver us. This forest owes its life to you, dear Guardian. Every creature you meet has you to thank for its survival. I'll remain here for now. It will take some time to regain my former strength, but already I feel the soul of the forest reviving me, and I pass this blessing on to the forest's creatures. Thank you, our guardian. Your triumphs are triumphs for us all.
And so we got our hands on Stasis Fern. Now to decide what to do with it.
When the time comes, we should give it to Arhu, so he can become a cat forever like he wishes. Cassandra is not to be trusted anyway.
Indeed. If Arhu wants to be a cat forever, so be it. He is our friend, and we shouldn't leave him in Cassandra's horrid care.
Ah, greetings, greetings! One of Cassandra's, I presume, yet rather more warm than is her preference, aren't you? And not a hint of rot. Strange, very strange indeed. But who am I to judge? I've been dead at least 100 years, and fashions certainly do change. The alchemist, of course. I think I must have had a proper name once, but there hasn't been much occasion to use it for the past several decades. No, alchemist suits me just fine, don't you think? Why, isn't it obvious? Beautiful alchemy, that science of the gods themselves. Yes, before my change, I was a regular master of the alchemical arts. Tinctures for princes, wounded pride, powders to smooth skin ravaged by time. I could craft them all with ease. These days, of course, I serve only Lady Cassandra. How she discovered a method of extending life without the use of the Stone of the Philosopher, I cannot say. She never revealed much in the way of secrets to yours truly. But as you can see, I'm as alive, well, nearly so, as I was many years before nature's expiration date. Ah, a kind ruler is she. Leaves me to my experimentations and my devices here, so long as I honor her occasional requests for this and that. Nightmare potions, paralysis salves, essentials for one in her line of work. I haven't heard anything from her esteemed brother in quite some years, though. Tell me, have you word of our great overlord, Brachus Rex? Is that so? Well, my point about changing fashions rings true. Yet his sister seems to be living on quite fine. Very strange considering their forge of souls, but oh my goodness. Could it be that he to his own sister? No, it's much too ghastly. Heavens, a thing like that? Well, you see, it's no secret that the great Brachus Rex and his sister, our own Cassandra, were soul-forged from a very young age. This gave them special insights into one another's psyches, and they were inseparably close. It also meant, however, that killing one would kill the other. If, say, Brachus received an arrow through his heart in battle, Cassandra might drop dead over toast and tea halfway round the world. It is impossible to break a Forge of Souls completely, but it is rumored that certain steps could be taken. If one member of the Forge were to be turned, for instance, into a half-living, half-dead creature, he or she would attain a form of immortality. Thus, the fully human member of the pair would be freed of the influence of his or her counterpart. It could be possible that it was Brachus himself who granted Cassandra this certain brand of immortality. Yes, the great king was gaining power quickly. I imagine his greatest vulnerability, Cassandra, had to be dealt with. But it is a terrible fate, you see. A lich, half woman and half corpse, unable to enjoy the pleasures of life, but only to pursue death. To think that one could exact such a fate upon one's own flesh and blood, unfathomable. Ha! Perhaps you can. Of course you may, but if you're having trouble with the whole affair, I'd suggest that perhaps it's your perception you ought to work on first.
You call to Wolgraf. He awaits your queries. Wolgraf eagerly grabs the potion and quaffs it down like a cold beer on a hot day. Presently he starts to cough, then inhales the air deeply and talks.
I can speak. I can bloody well speak. This is amazing. This is... I want to sing. I want to shout. But hell's bells on a cracker. How deep and gruff I sound. And then again, last time I heard my own voice, I was but a 10-year-old pipsqueak after all. Not a weather-beaten, whip-licked, sorcerer-slaying ruffian. Oh, I can't thank you enough, Governor. Really, I can't. No gift as precious, no gift as titillating as the power of speech. Oh, those rolling R's, those teeth-flicking T's. Don't mind my crude way with words, my friend. In all those years of ever so dreary internal monologue, I haven't quite moved on from the street kid vernacular. A girl's a peach, a boy's a tosser, and a so-called great big authority figure, whether a John or a Jill, is a governor. But that's neither here nor there, is it? I've got me voice back. I've got me strength back. And I'm more ready than ever to kick sorry, saggy sorcerer behind. On we go. The job ain't finished yet, and my dagger's dying for some action. What's on your mind? Ha! It's bloody wonderful, isn't it? Everything is just so much easier. You want something, you just say so. Or you just take it, but that's the rogue of me talking. Why, good old-fashioned practice. You'd be surprised how easily people miss details that are right in front of their crooked noses. The art of observation, Governor. It's a skill no cat burglar can do without. Just as important as fleet-footedness and sleight of hand. I practiced and practiced until a fleck of disturbed dust became as obvious to me as a bullseye painted on a barn. People think they can hide things, keep secrets, but whatever they do, they can't hide them from old Wolgraf. That was one of my famed ploys. I told one of the local little brats, and by telling I mean write it down, that all his wishes would be granted if he threw all the gold he had down that well. A real-life wishing well. Obviously, the jackanapes told everyone that would listen all about it, and he shouted it down the ears of those that wouldn't, to boot. Worked like a charm. Undead or no, they went out in droves to actually wish them walking corpses away. Easy bloody money, Governor.
Do you have a moment, my friends, to indulge an old imp? I want you to know that I have been giving your history a lot of thought, for any historian worth his salt duly contemplates the events he records and researches. It is my solemn conclusion that you have been treated rather harshly, and that the harshest punishment of all was delivered unto you by your very own hands. For tell me true, what are humans worth, even if they ascend to the status of demigod, if they be void of all doubt, if they question unfailingly their duty? The demon abused a most primal emotion, and because of that, that emotion has been dubbed a weakness. Nay, I say, it is not. Indeed, it will save us yet, be it in the very last nick of time. So, chipper up, eh? Not like the near impending end of all is entirely your fault.
At least Zigzag seems to think we Guardians aren't utter failures.
Bless his heart, for he is right. Doubt is not a blight, but a blessing.
I couldn't agree more. In fact, I'd go so far as to say we didn't fail at all. That may have been the gods' conclusion, but it isn't mine.
O Guardians, in whose hands rests the fate of all, I know he, the usurper, the instigator, has been trying to charm you like he once did us both before. Do not listen to him. Do not listen, for every sound he makes is another vocalization of deceit, and what is more, a ruse to mark his weakness. First he seems to mock you, then he seems to menace you, then he seems to mesmerize you. But all the while, what he really does is fear you. His desire has been long in the making. The freedom among the void that is his unfathomable dream. But I have stopped him once, and you can do so again. You have pieced yourselves back together, Guardians. You are greater now, perhaps, than you ever were. The maw of the void is chomping with big black teeth. But there is still time to kill the beast. Rise up, Guardians. Stand up. Come to me at the center of the maelstrom and stand by me.
By the sins of the seven, can it be? You, Guardian, and General before that. Has time erased all memory of me? It is I, Alessa, the General who stood by your side when the Void Dragon first plagued our world so very long ago. 3 of us faced our foe that day. Only 2 lived to tell the tale. You stared the Void straight in the eye and saw oblivion reflected back at you. You broke, panicked, and it took me the very depths of my magic to rally you once more. Rally you I did, but I was spent, and the dragon did not hesitate. Thus I perished in the jaws of the void.
Then let me beg your forgiveness for our breakdown, which cost you your life.
Indeed. We're sorry we failed you, Alessa. Praise be that you restored our courage.
There is nothing to be sorry about, Guardian. I did what had to be done, and after that, so did you. You did your duty and more. You gave up the rank of General to become something greater, something immortal. Guardian, protector of the God Box, protector of all creation. Oh, how terrible it must have been to be betrayed, to hear Astarte whisper, to falter ever so briefly and see the dragon rise anew.
Yes, we were betrayed, and how? The Trife, Astarte, they were plotting against us. No wonder our resolve failed.
Even the best can be brought low by trickery. It was treason that undid us, nothing else.
Yes, indeed. Treachery and deception. Such are the forces that stood against you. The gods should have seen it coming. You undertook a task the seven themselves should have presumed. And where are they now, these allegedly all-powerful gods? Cowering in a distant universe, no doubt. But you are here, ready to face your fear yet again. Destined, I am sure, to succeed at long last. To succeed and save time and space forever. Your moment is nigh. The moment of final failure or final triumph. I know what shall be. Your time has come. The void is destruction. You are creation, the greater force that will best a lesser foe.